We're going to have a little fun today. Caitlin Clark out playing in the Pro-Am at the RSM Classic.
Yeah, we leave the thumb screws until tomorrow, but certainly the celebrity element today, Tom Brady also out there as well. Yeah. We hear a lot about how it's all doom and gloom in golf, and it's not a happy sport these days, but certainly the biggest sports stars in the world seem to want to spend a lot of time around this.
Absolutely. Game. Michael Jordan, a huge star. He's got his own club down in South Florida, Grove 23, that everybody wants to be a member at. But we're going to talk about what Caitlin Clark is doing this week. But first, we'll go back to last week. It was an amazing scene in the women's game as WNBA superstar Caitlin Clark teed it up on Wednesday in the Pro-Am for the Annika, driven by Gainbridge. That taking place at Pelican. Played the first 9 with world #1 Nelly Korda and the second 9 with tournament host Annika Sorenstam. And look at that shot. I mean, everybody wanted to get close to this superstar in all the sports. And she's out doing it again. Another Wednesday tee time for Caitlin Clark, and there she is saying hi to Zach Johnson's family. She's playing with Zach Johnson. Zach, a big Iowa guy, so of course he wants to be in the same group with this Iowa superstar, and that being Caitlin Clark, who's now taking her talents to the WNBA, and there's his family. She's walking the fairways, and the crowds are following her, Eamon.
And Jay Monahan over there on the right, playing with the PGA Tour Commissioner in that same group as well.
That young caddy, the young lady there, honor for her. All right, let's check out this shot. Looked pretty good, looked better than me.
Ripped one right down the middle. She did that last week on her first tee shot at Pelican as well.
Don't think she outdrove Zach Johnson. We will find out. Rex Hoggard's going to join us. We'll move to the 12th hole. Missed the fairway here, but again, nice swing, a little short, compact backswing, good follow through.
We saw a lot of pretty nifty wedge play by Caitlin Clark last week. A little bit more of it today.
That way at Seaside Golf Course at Sea Island is tough, and there you see her walking with the Ryder Cup captain, Masters champion, and Zach Johnson. And again, we saw it last week. It was amazing there on the women's game at the LPGA Tour. And now she's over here playing on the PGA Tour, or at Sea Island, I should say. And she does have an impact. I was interested, to be honest, to see what kind of force she would be on the golf course in the Pro-Am last week. And obviously she was a big one. What does she bring to the game of golf?
Eyeballs that might not necessarily be there. There was a really telling moment, I thought, in last week's Pro-Am when on her final hole she missed the green with an approach shot to the left, and one of the ladies in the gallery who saw the ball roll to her feet kind of threw it back inside the ropes, which tells you is probably not necessarily a regular golf fan, but you see a lot of people who are showing up wearing Iowa jerseys. These are not necessarily the typical audience that you're going to see at an LPGA event. She's maybe not going to bring a different kind of audience to a PGA Tour event at a place like Sea Island, but she's going to bring a different vibe to it. You saw that there with Ludwig Oberg talking to her on the range. Zach Johnson there, the commissioner, wants to play in her group. She is one of those kind of transformational athletes right now, and she manages herself so well in those situations. And what we're seeing here is what we saw at the LPGA event last week, which is even the players all want their little moment with Caitlin Clark.
Absolutely. There are so many, both male and female, who have watched a lot of WNBA basketball this year because of Caitlin Clark. And now it seems like whatever she does, whether it's in fashion, whether it's in the arts, and now whether it's in sports here, they seem to follow her. And anything that she touches makes it a little bit better. And obviously she's doing that with golf right now. So it's good to see.
It really is, and she's handling herself with remarkable poise. Given the scrutiny that she's under, they could all learn from that.
Last Wednesday will be remembered as a great one in the women's game as WNBA superstar Caitlin Clark teed it up in the Pro-Am at the Annika. LPGA players asking Caitlin, hey, can you take a picture with me? A selfie, please? Why wouldn't you want a picture with the 2024 Rookie of the Year on the WNBA? And that was last week. This is right now. She's actually out on the course at the RSM Classic, playing alongside Zach Johnson, who, like I mentioned earlier, is a big Iowa fan. Of course, Caitlin, a product of the University of Iowa, and she's all smiles, having fun. Our Rex Hoggard is right there in the midst of all of this, watching Caitlin Clark play in the Pro-Am. He joins us now live. And Rex, how would you describe the energy surrounding Caitlin Clark in this Pro-Am?
Todd, both you and Eamon have been here to this community. You've been to St. Simon's Island, and you know the one simple truth. It's a small community. It's a tight-knit community, but it is where secrets normally go to die. That wasn't the case when it came to Caitlin Clark playing in today's Pro-Am. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until pretty late last night, about 7:30 p.m. local time, that the officials sent out the Pro-Am tee times and made it official that not just Caitlin Clark was going to be playing today with Zach Johnson, but we have Tom Brady teeing off as well. No one knew, but everybody knew. Again, it's a very, very small island. This is where secrets come to die. And so what you see in the gallery is a lot of local folks who've been waiting for this for a very long time. And it's a carryover from what we saw last week at the LPGA event with the Annika, with her just bringing new fans to the game. You see the crossover. You see a transformative athlete who has decided to try her hand at golf, and there is just passion around the golf course. A lot of autographs, a lot of pictures being taken, and a lot of fun.
Rex, last week there was a lot of build-up to it. We knew Caitlin Clark was going to be playing the LPGA event for quite some time beforehand, unlike this week. And what we saw out there on the LPGA Tour was a crowd that wasn't necessarily your traditional golf attendees. Do you get the sense this week that it is typically a golf audience? They're just embracing the opportunity to see Caitlin Clark, or are there fresh faces out there who would not otherwise be there?
This feels like more of a golf crowd. And again, this is a very small community. It's a very golfy community. There's a lot of courses here. It's a big part of the fabric of what happens here on St. Simon's Island. But that being said, there are a couple of interesting people in the gallery. As I mentioned, Caitlin is playing alongside Zach Johnson. They've played in a Pro-Am before. They played at the John Deere Classic. I'm sure there's a lot of Caitlin Clark fans. I'm sure there's a lot of Iowa fans on property. None of them are bigger than Zach Johnson, and maybe the only exceptions are his kids, who are actually wearing Caitlin Clark jerseys right now. They've been walking inside the ropes. They're very excited, and that goes to that crossover that we saw last week that you're asking about. I think we saw it even after the fact. How many people were drawn to the game that normally wouldn't have been, but they're WNBA fans. They're certainly Caitlin Clark fans, and we are seeing that a little bit to what we saw last week at the Annika.
Well, the line of the show is going to be where secrets go to die, and we now understand why Rex Hoggard spends a lot of time at Sea Island. But it is cool to have Rex on site there following Caitlin Clark in the Pro-Am, and we will continue to check with Rex throughout our show. Thanks a lot, Rex.